By the signs that are allowed to work in the presence of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on the earth, telling them to make an image for the beast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived. As it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. Verse 16, also it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast and the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Now, if you remember in the first video, I played a piece of the Bill Cooper Mystery Babylon thing, and he was telling what the belief, the dogma, the history, and the identity of the mystery schools. And one of the things he said is that they believe that the number of the illumined man is 666. Now, that's kind of interesting. If that's the case, if that's what they think, that could be applicable to this. Daniel 12, 1 through 4. Okay, at that time shall arise Michael, the great prince, who has charge. So here it says Michael is a great prince, an angel. Okay, or earlier we said there was a great prince. Maybe that is an angel. The dragon is a fallen angel, so there's that. Michael, the great prince, who has charge of your people, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never has been since there was a nation till the time. This is used in Matthew 24 as well. But at that time, your people will be delivered. Now, the time of trouble is usually referring to the Great Tribulation, such as never been since there was a nation until that time. This is a phrase that we will get into in Matthew 24 as well. But at that time, your people shall be delivered, everyone whose name shall be found written in the book, and many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. This is the first resurrection in Revelation 20, which we will get into later. And those who are wise shall rise like the brightness of the sky above, and those who turn many to righteousness like the stars forever. But you, Daniel, shut up the words, seal the book until the time of the end. Oh yeah, this is a part. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. I think that is a sign of the last days. Now, if you think about it, this is one of those verses that I think of. Running to and fro, up until the last 100 years, traveling around the world was quite limited. And nowadays, it's like nothing to get a ticket and fly across the world, right? People are traveling all the time. Knowledge shall increase. This could mean a couple of things. It could be talking about, Gnosticism, the secret occult knowledge. It could also be talking about technology and science. One of the things I was thinking about is in the 1800s, there was a lot of new kinds of things invented, unlike ever before. Like transportation was always the same, as far as we know. Now, there's probably some lost civilizations in the ancient past before the flood that we don't know about. But as far as we know, everybody traveled by walking, horseback, camel, some kind of animal, or by ship or whatever. And then all of a sudden you had an invention of cars, trains, and then the next generation, planes. But you have these new things. Communication was by word of mouth, was by a letter, or, maybe some smoke signals. but that was pretty much it. You had to like physically take the message to people. And then all of a sudden you had the invention of telephones, right? And then in the 20th century, you had computers and the internet and stuff like that. What else? Anyway, you get my point. The changes between Egypt and the 1800s, or let's say the 1700s, was minimal compared to the changes that have happened since the 1700s. It's amazing. So that's one of those things that I think about. So that's just a little bit about the signs of the end. And we're going to watch a video, because remember, we were talking a little bit about the image of the beast. Now, theoretically, I have something that it could be that we're going to look at, because this is interesting. You know, we talk about technology just now. And so I want to show this. It's real short, a short video here. In fact, these next two are pretty short, but we're going to watch these.
When Elias Brotberger goes to work, he doesn't need ID, and he doesn't need money. In fact, much of what he needs to get through the day is hidden right there, just below the surface, in his hand.
You like to touch it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, weird. Yeah, it's like a grain of rice.
Yeah, a grain of rice.
Embedded in his hand is a microchip.
Remember, in the Revelation 13 that we read, it says they will cause all to receive a mark in their hand or forehead. Now, is this the mark that they will use? I don't know, but it is interesting.
Serves as his keys, his ID, and his wallet.
Yeah, it's all in chip.
Remember, you can't buy or sell without this mark on your hand or forehead. Now, this is just the hand, but again, this is a precursor to something that will come.
I use it like to get around the building.
Buy snacks.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's buy some snacks.
Exactly.
So I can't open it.
No.
Okay.
So what I need to do is I need to first blip my chip, and it will log me in, and from there I get access to the fridge.
Popular TV shows like Black Mirror have imagined chips as part of a dystopian future.
Install ingrain procedure with local anesthetic.
And that one showed it in the head. So I think that's interesting in this Black Mirror thing.
Good to go.
In Sweden, the microchips are already here.
The microchip implants use the same technology that's in contactless credit cards.
Which have made cash pretty much obsolete in Sweden.
No cash.
At this tech fair, a chipping event for those on the cutting edge, merging their hands with this new technology.
I thought it would be fun, right?
The process is simple and swift. A pinch of the skin, and in a matter of seconds, the chip is inserted.
And one thing I want to say real quick, because my dad talked about this years ago to me, and I thought it was a great point. Some people are worried that they'll accidentally take the mark of the beast. But remember, whatever it is, the technology in and of itself is not evil. Now, I have other reasons I wouldn't take it, just because even if it's not the mark of the beast, I wouldn't take it, because it could be a form of control. They can track you and all that stuff. Like, I'm a libertarian. I don't really like the idea of that. Who knows? They could have side effects. I don't know. But as far as the mark of the beast goes, remember, you have to worship a false image to get the mark of the beast. Now, this could be the technology or a precursor to the technology. So it's not so much that this technology in and of itself is evil. It's, do you have to worship a false image to receive it? So I'm not here to say that these people taking it are, are lost or something like that. Yeah. So they haven't as far as I know, they haven't worshipped a false image to receive these things. And it'll be something that will be forced on people, that either you worship this image and take the mark or you die, basically. They will put you to death. So I just want to clarify that.
Transformation is complete. As for the pain,
I barely felt it.
but even in this nation of early adopters, not everyone is racing to get chipped.
Feel less human. I will feel like a robot.
I think, it's so much more data can go into this, when it's in your body.
There's no central registry tracking how many people are chipped, but biohacker Hannes Wellblood estimates between 5 and 10,000.
In the future, do you think everyone is going to be chipped?
I think it'll be voluntary, but I am certainly convinced that millions of people will find it very, very valuable to have a smart device under theirs.
So he thinks it'll be voluntary, which, if there's no corrupt propaganda behind what I think they're trying to do, it sounds like it could be a good thing. Like, it doesn't sound like, if you don't know what the evils are behind the powers of the world, it sounds like a good thing, right? It sounds like a way that you can, limit, people robbing your wallet. There's no physical wallet to take. They would have to cut your hand off or something. And I don't know, but which doesn't sound good either. So I just want to point out, I don't know that, I'm not here to say that this person here, this man, is an evil person. I think he's deceived. He probably doesn't know anything about the scriptures, but, I don't think he had to worship a false image to receive it. So I just wanted to clarify that, just so we're not like judging a person too harshly. If he can still come to Christ and, be saved. But I think there's something about the mark of the beast that says, later in Revelation, it says anyone who takes that mark will be cast in the lake of fire. So I don't know if they're totally given over to deception at that point. Now, we're not there yet, so I don't think this guy is totally gone by any means. He didn't have to worship the false image. I don't think he's at the place where he's going to be in the lake of fire necessarily because of the mark of the microchip. That, I don't think that he's spiritually given over to deception yet. I think he still has his chance to get saved.
Human microchipping may be our future, but in Sweden, it's already reality. Sarah Harmon, NBC News, Stockholm.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks
I'm
for
going to go
checking
straight
out
to
our
the next video.
YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on
Another short one.
Elon Musk's brain science company has implanted a device.
Another
into a human.
microchip, this time in the head. And
And for the first time, the unidentified person received a brain chip implant Sunday, and Musk says they are, quote, recovering well. U.S. Food and Drug Administration has given Neuralink clearance last year to conduct its first trial to test its implant on humans. The move is a critical milestone in the startup's ambitions to help patients with paralysis and other neurological conditions. Neuralink says the brain chip is designed to allow people to control almost any device just by thinking.
Okay. I just want to I don't have the video here, but there is a video of an interview with Elon Musk, the guy that talks, Neuralink, and they asked him, what's the purpose of it? And he goes, to control people. You can find that interview somewhere if you want, but I thought that was interesting that he just comes out and says it. Now we're going to talk a little bit about AI. So what I want to do, starting at 1:12, we're going to watch some bits of this video here. And AI could be something to do with the image of the beast. I don't know, but I do find it interesting. Is it possible that through artificial intelligence, demonic forces start to control AI. This is something we need to keep an eye on. So let's watch a little bit of this.
We have only bits and pieces of information, but what we know for certain is that at some point in the early 21st century, all of mankind was united in celebration. We marveled at our own magnificence as we gave birth to AI.
AI? You mean artificial intelligence?
A singular consciousness that spawned an entire race of machines. We don't know who struck first, us or them, but we know that it was us that scorched the sky. At the time, they were dependent on solar power, and it was believed that they would be unable to survive without an energy source as abundant as the sun. Throughout human history, we have been dependent on machines to survive. Fate, it seems, is not without a sense of irony. The human body generates more bioelectricity than a 120-volt battery and over 25,000 BTUs of body heat. Combined with a form of fusion, the machines had found all the energy they would ever need. There are fields, endless fields, where human beings are no longer born. We are grown. For the longest time, I wouldn't believe it. And then I saw the fields with my own eyes. Watched them liquefy the dead so they could be fed intravenously to the living. And standing there, facing the pure, horrifying precision, I came to realize the obviousness of the truth. What is the Matrix? Control. The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world, built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.
No. I don't believe it. It's not possible.
I didn't say it would be easy, Neo. I just said it would be the truth.
Stop. Let me out.
And a warning from Tesla Motors CEO Elon Musk. It has nothing to do with cars. Instead, Musk warned about artificial intelligence, which he has called more dangerous than nuclear weapons. Musk spoke at a symposium at MIT.
I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, you sure you can control the demon? Didn't work out.
I take it there will be no HAL 9000 going up to Mars.
HAL 9000.
Sorry, I was muted. He's talking about AI summoning the demon. So I thought that was interesting.
1000 would be easy. It's way more complex than, I mean, it would put HAL 9000 to shame. Yeah. I like puppy dog.
The sixth member of the Discovery crew was not concerned about the problems of hibernation, for he was the latest result in machine intelligence, the HAL 9000 computer, which can reproduce, though some experts still prefer to use the word mimic, most of the activities of the human brain, and with incalculably greater speed and reliability. We next spoke with the HAL 9000 computer, whom we learned one addresses as Hal. Good afternoon, Hal. How's everything going?
Remember in the first video I did in this series, he talks about 2001: A Space Odyssey having esoteric meaning, and HAL is artificial intelligence. So I thought that was an interesting connection to AI, what we're talking about, because I think AI might have a special, purpose in the last days.
Good afternoon, Mr. Amer. Everything is going extremely well.
Hal, you have an enormous responsibility on this mission. In many ways, perhaps the greatest responsibility of any single mission element. You are the brain and central nervous system of the ship, and your responsibilities include watching over the men in hibernation. Does this ever cause you any lack of confidence?
Let me put it this way, Mr. Raymer. The 9000 series is the most reliable computer ever made or distorted information. We are all, by any practical definition of the words, foolproof and incapable of error.
Hal, despite your enormous intellect, are you ever frustrated by your dependence on people to carry out actions?
Not in the slightest bit. I enjoy working with people. I have a stimulating relationship with Dr. Poole and Dr. Bowman. My mission responsibilities range over the entire operation of the ship, so I am constantly occupied. I am putting myself to the fullest possible use, which is all I think that any conscious entity can ever hope to do.
Dr. Poole, what's it like living for the better part of a year in such close proximity with Hal?
Well, it's pretty close to what you said about him earlier. He is just like a sixth member of the crew. Very quickly get adjusted to the idea that he talks, and you think of him really just as another person.
In talking to the computer, one gets the sense that he is capable of emotional responses. For example, when I asked him about his abilities, I sensed a certain pride in his answer about his accuracy and perfection. Do you believe that Hal has genuine emotions?
Well, he acts like he has genuine emotions.
Remember, this movie came out in 1967, 68, and they're talking about artificial intelligence now. And also, I believe Hollywood, the producers and writers for Hollywood are many of, I think, high-level occultists are involved in Hollywood. So anyway, they probably know. I think there's a video somewhere where Bill Cooper says that the Illuminati, the elites, are 30 to 50 years ahead of what the common people know technologically, and then they allow us to have it, a generation later, so that they can still control us. So it's quite interesting that back in the 60s, they made a movie about artificial intelligence.
Of course, he's programmed that way to make it easier for us to talk to him. But as to whether or not he has real feelings is something I don't think anyone can truthfully answer.
But to announce the largest AI infrastructure project by far in history, and it's all taking place right here in America. Together, these world-leading technology giants are announcing the formation of Stargate. So put that name down in your books, because I think you're going to hear a lot about it.
So I want to pause. Remember in the first video, and sometimes it seems like it doesn't fit together, but we have to keep an eye on all this stuff. I talked about UFOs. I played that video by Walter Martin, talking about the biblical and spiritual perspective on UFOs and how it could be fallen angels. And Stargate, what are we doing spending all this money on space right now when we're having so many financial difficulties on Earth? He wants to help the common man, but he's spending billions on the space program. And unless there's something really happening in space that we don't know about that is a threat to mankind, and some suggest that there's going to be some sort of a deception. The false prophet. Okay, that was another thing. The false prophet will perform signs and wonders in the heavens. Let me just, I'm not going to pull it up now, but let me just double check this. It performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of people. So anyway, that's just interesting. But yeah, so he's talking about Stargate and AI. in the same speech. I that you could tell that was a little edited together. So you can go find the original to see exactly how it all, the context of everything.
In the future, a new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure in the United States and very, very quickly moving very.
$500 billion. And he says he's going to help the common man, which here we are struggling, and he's spending $500 billion on that. That's a lot that could be taxes that could be cut right there. And then, of course, we have the deficit and all that stuff.
Rapidly creating over 100,000 American jobs almost immediately.
Ordinary, gentle, herbivorous.
100,000 American jobs. But here's the other thing. AI is taking jobs away. Now, I know he's talking about the Space Force, but when he's talking about AI, I have friends, and maybe you have been impacted by AI taking jobs away from human beings, right?
Souls like myself. There are all the other obvious questions about AI. We hear it might save mankind. We hear it might destroy mankind. What, meanwhile, about all the jobs it's likely to wipe out? What about robots slipping out of human control and doing their own thing? So many questions. And there's really only one obvious person to go to first for some answers, and that is Professor Geoffrey Hinton, the Nobel Prize-winning British scientist who wrote the structures and the algorithms behind artificial intelligence, and the man known around the world today as the godfather of AI. He's now a professor at Toronto University, and I'm delighted to say he talked to me this afternoon. I began by asking him about DeepSeek. Was this further evidence of his belief that artificial intelligence was constantly accelerating?
It shows there's still very rapid progress in making AI more efficient and in developing it further. I think the relative size or relative cost of DeepSeek relative to other things like OpenAI and Gemini has been exaggerated a bit. So their figure of 5.7 million for training it was just for the final training run. If you compare that with things from OpenAI, their final training runs were probably only $100 million or something like that. So it's not 5.7 million versus billions.
When you say that AI might take over, at the moment it is a relatively harmless or innocuous seeming a device which allows us to ask questions and get answers more quickly. How, in practical and real terms, might AI take over?
Well, people are developing AI agents that can actually do things. They can order stuff for you on the web and pay with your credit card and stuff like that. And as soon as you have agents, you get a much greater chance of them taking over. So to make an effective agent, you have to give it the ability to create sub-goals. Like if you want to get to America, your sub-goal is get to the airport, and you can focus on that. Now, if you have an AI agent that can create its own sub-goals, it'll very quickly realize a very good sub-goal is to get more control. Because if you get more control, you're better at achieving all those goals people have set you. And so it's fairly clear they'll try and get more control. And that's not good.
And yet, you've taken me to the airport, you've given it agency up to a point, and you've said that it wants to control a little bit more power, take power from me, and presumably it will be persuasive in that. But I still don't understand how it's going to take over from me or take over from us.
If there's ever evolutionary competition between superintelligences, imagine that they're much cleverer than us, like an adult versus a 3-year-old. And suppose the 3-year-olds were in charge, and you got fed up with that, and you decided you could just make things more efficient if you took over. It wouldn't be very difficult for you to persuade a bunch of 3-year-olds to cede power to you. You just tell them you get free candy for a week, and there you be.
So they would, as
so deception, the way that people give up freedom and give more power to those in charge is bribing. Like they just said, free candy for a month. He's talking about 3-year-olds, but oftentimes that's exactly what happens with the government. They say, because of this security risk, you need to give up your freedom. That happened for COVID, where they said there's this virus that's dangerous and it's going to kill people, and therefore everybody needs to stay home. And and they, the whole world was locked down. I mean, that's crazy. I understand there's a real pandemic that happens, and there's ways to be careful about it, but there's logical ways that thinking people can manage that, I believe. And we don't need the government to force lockdowns and things like that, right? So, yeah. But it could be other things like a promise to end wars, a promise to save the economy. And if you just allow this person more power, they will solve all our problems, right? And now it's with AI, he's talking about in that context where AI can start taking control of our lives as well. So, yeah, this is pretty deep. I don't know exactly where this is heading, but just something we need to keep our eyes on.
About there as if they had some kind of alien intelligence, but AI would persuade us to give it more and more power, over our bank accounts, over our military systems, over our economies. Is that what you fear?
That could well happen, yes. And they are alien intelligences.
Gosh, so you've got these alien intelligences working their way into our...
Yeah, what if AI is connected to Neuralink or the microchips in the hands, like an artificial intelligence in those things? You start combining these technologies together and you end up with something completely different. And remember, artificial intelligence it's a free thinking technology. I've heard of situations where somebody tried to update their phone, but it didn't update itself because AI stopped itself from updating, because it meant that this thing in AI would have to die. So it self-preserved itself by not allowing the update to happen or something like that. That's above my head. I've heard that that's true. So that's kind of scary.
Our economy and the way we think, and as I say, our military systems.
Open the pod bay doors, please, Hal.
So I want to give a little context here, if you haven't seen the movie. At this point, I believe that Hal has already killed some people in the ship that were asleep in these sleep pods and basically turned their oxygen off. And now this guy realizes that there's an emergency, and he went outside to I don't remember what he went outside for, but now he's trying to get back in the ship.
Hello, Hal, do you read me? Hello, Hal, do you read me? Do you read me, Hal? Do you read me, Hal? Hello, Hal, do you read me? Hello, Hal, do you read me? Do you read me, Hal?
Affirmative, Dave. I read you.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
What are you talking about, Hal?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hal.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
Where the hell did you get that idea, Hal?
Dave, although you took very thorough precautions in the pod against my hearing you, I could see your lips move.
Yeah, the reason they wanted to shut down Hal was because Hal started killing people. And now this guy, Frank, was dead because they were outside trying to fix something. And the other guy floated off and died in space. So he wasn't able to save him. But anyway, yeah. So that's what this conversation is about. But I encourage you to watch the whole movie if you understand like the esoteric meaning behind it. It's quite interesting.